When an innocent baby cried for 3 hours on a flight, an amazing black boy revealed the unexpected. Jason sat beside his mother in the cramped airplane seat, his excitement to see his grandmother overshadowed by the unsettling reality of a crying baby a few rows ahead. The infant's wails pierced the air, each shrill note tightening the space around him. The reactions of the seasoned passengers were palpable, rolling their eyes and whispering dismissively. Jason could almost feel the waves of annoyance crashing against him, squeezing tightly, sparking a fear deep in his chest. What happened if they were all too consumed by their impatience to notice the heart of the matter, a struggling mother battling her own fears with her frail baby? He remembered his grandmother's lessons. Kindness and empathy could build bridges even in the most crowded of moments. Heart racing, Jason shifted uncomfortably, recalling the trophy he'd just won for his debating skills. He should be proud, but all he felt was a gnawing sense of pressure. School and friends expected so much from him. All they ever talked about were grades, achievements, futures looming ahead like storm clouds. What if he faltered? What if he wasn't enough? As the plane climbed higher, he could feel the swell of emotions pressing against him. Was he just a boy trying to be brave, or was it something deeper? He glanced at his mom, who too was irritated by the cacophony. Jason swallowed hard, whispering reassurances to her, but even he could feel the unraveling tension. It felt as if anger filled the very air they breathed, binding people to their discomfort. Why couldn't they see the desperate scene unfolding? A mother who probably felt completely alone, just like Jason sometimes did. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. His determination to help surged within him. The baby's cries morphed in Jason's mind, like the pressure building within him. The world around him felt heavy with expectations, the noise of the passengers' frustrations echoing his own internal struggles. How could someone so small command so much attention? What if the desperate wails of the baby pinned him to a moment where he could choose kindness, where he could wrestle against judgment? Taking a deep breath, his palms sweaty against his jeans, Jason stood up and made his way toward the mother. Her face was frazzled, eyes wide as she fought back tears. Would he be met with resistance? He nudged forward, weight of panic mingling with hope. Their eyes locked, and he hesitated at first, emboldened by the compassion deep in his heart, yet paralyzed by his own self-doubts. And just like that, amidst the weight of unspoken expectations and the overwhelming noise, Jason found himself unsure. Would his act of kindness forge a connection, or would he just be another boy brushed aside? The pressure in his chest tightened, leaving him grappling with his own emotional storm as he took a step forward, prepared to cross the invisible line. With a hesitant breath, Jason took a step closer, drawn to the frantic mother like a magnet. He could see the weariness etched into her brow, the shadows under her eyes hinting at sleepless nights and overwhelming worries. The shrill cries of the baby echoed around them, but in this moment, Jason felt a sudden clarity. He was no longer just a boy caught in external chaos. He was an active participant in an unfolding story, one that demanded compassion over judgment. "Excuse me," he said, his voice steady despite the thrumming pulse in his neck. The woman turned, her startled gaze meeting his, and for a brief instant, their worlds collided. A silent understanding passed between them, a shared struggle laced with vulnerability. I understand it can be hard," he began, each word spilling out as if dislodging a dam of bottled insights. Is there anything I can do to help? The question lingered in the air, a lifeline woven with sincerity. The mother's expression softened, her defenses momentarily lowered. If you could just keep her entertained for a moment. Her voice was a mere whisper, tinged with desperation. She offered him a fleeting smile, a flicker of hope igniting amidst her exhaustion. In that moment, a spark of confidence flared within Jason. The chaos around him faded, and he conjured up every ounce of creativity he could muster. He began to hum a gentle tune, tapping a rhythm against his thigh, matching the grace of a storyteller weaving magic through melodies. The baby paused, her cry subsiding into curious coos, and Jason felt a rush of triumph. Each note he sang carried him closer to a newfound self-awareness. He had always felt pressured to excel in debate, to voice arguments with precision and confidence. But here, amidst the tangled threads of anxiety and discomfort, he was learning a different kind of communication, a language spoken through kindness and connection. It wasn't about winning accolades, it was about recognizing shared humanity. As the baby's eyes widened, drawn in by Jason's melodic grasp, he could see the mother's gratitude palpable in her expression. They were sharing a sanctuary, a small but vibrant space where their worries dissipated like mist. Yet even as he sang, the weight of expectation crept back into the corners of his mind. What would his friends think if they witnessed this moment? Would they pull him back into the confines of competition, dismissing this heartfelt gesture as a loss of focus? The very thought sent ripples of doubt crashing over the revelation he had just begun to experience. Taking a breath, Jason reminded himself that he wasn't defined by the applause of others, but by the courage to stand in his truth. Each note, each coo, and even the unrelenting cries were underscored by a silent pact he made with himself, to prioritize kindness over judgment, to confront discomfort with empathy. But just as the last note faded and the baby gurgled happily, a sudden announcement crackled over the intercom, stark and commanding. "We are experiencing turbulence. Please fasten your seatbelts." Jason's heart seized in an entirely different way. The comforting retreat of connection shattered instantly as anxiety gripped the cabin. Would he be able to maintain the growth he had just discovered as the turbulence threatened to jar their moment? The thought clawed back at him, igniting the latent tensions of expectation that lay just beneath the surface. In that dense atmosphere of uncertainty, Jason felt the impending challenge, a reality he now had to confront. The inner journey toward personal strength was unfolding, twisted with fear and fascination, as the airplane rocked violently beneath him. The moment to evaluate his growth and face deeper fears was now. He could feel it in his bones. But would he rise to the occasion yet again, or falter amidst the chaos? The plane rattled violently, the shriek of metal merging with the startled gasps of passengers. Jason's heart raced, not merely from the turbulence, but from the sudden flush of panic creeping in. He could feel the trepidation knotting in his stomach as the mother's hand gripped the seat beside her, her eyes darting nervously to the overhead bins. The baby, sensing the unrest, shrieked once more, amplifying the chaos. "Okay, focus," Jason muttered under his breath, his resolve quaking against the external turmoil. He had just tasted the triumph of connection. Now he faced the daunting paradox of anxiety and compassion. Should he withdraw and enact self-preservation, or confront the turbulence by stepping up again? Forcing his gaze back to the mother, he witnessed her helplessness, and that flicker of empathy sparked anew within him. This wasn't just a baby crying. It was a shout against helplessness, a call for someone to respond amid the chaos. And for Jason, this was his moment, a moment to choose action over retreat. Rising slowly from his seat, he leaned toward the mother. "It's okay, I can help," he said, his voice a beacon of steadiness he barely felt inside. Before he even thought it through, he extended his hands toward the baby, ready to cradle her. "What's her name?" The mother blinked away her surprise briefly, a glimmer of gratitude mingling with the tension in her brow. "Lily," she replied, her voice shaky. "All right then, Lily," Jason said with a surprisingly lighthearted tone. "Let's make some noise that cuts through this turbulence." He began to softly sway side to side, narrating an imaginary adventure about a brave little bunny on a quest for a golden carrot. His words tumbled out in rhythmic patterns, lively enough to divert not just the baby, but perhaps a few curious passengers too. "It was a stormy day in Bunnyland," he continued, weaving in exaggerated sound effects and playful actions, his body moving animatedly with each word. Laughter erupted amidst the rising anxiety as others on the plane became drawn into his performance. Gasps and giggles echoed, replacing the previous cries with a gentle hum of resilience. Yet, even in this moment bursting with spontaneity, doubts flared. The voices of his peers echoed in his mind. Why would you waste time like this? They questioned success, always tied to objectives and debates, not caring for moments of genuine human connection. But here, amidst the cacophony and swirling emotions, he realized he needed to silence those voices. In this new version of himself, he felt a shift, a burgeoning understanding that his words mattered more than mere argument. Storytelling was powerful. This was not simply play. It was a lifeline shared among strangers, a collective embrace birthed from compassion. As he animatedly spun the tale of Lily the bunny dodging raindrops, he saw the baby's eyes brightening, her coos evolving into soft chuckles. The mother's tension visibly eased, her body relaxing against the seat as hope returned to her face. But the turbulence continued, a reminder of the external chaos threatening their sanctuary of warmth. Jason felt the physical shock of the aircraft shift under him. His ability to control the situation was limited, but his choice to forge connection was profound. With clarity washing over him, he leaned into the moment, taking in the wide smiles and laughter surrounding him. Perhaps this was the path he had been seeking without realizing it. A synergy of empathy and creativity, navigating not just the turbulence of the plane, but the upheavals of life itself. But as he felt the warmth spreading, a loud crash echoed from the back of the plane, followed by frantic cries. The pleasant chaos of storytelling suddenly turned cold. The unsettling reality set in. This turbulence was no longer just atmospheric, and Jason braced himself for the challenge ahead. Could he remain a figure of strength in the face of chaos, or would fear hold him back? The stakes were rising, but so too was the urgency to face whatever was about to unfold. The cabin shook again, this time more violently, the overhead compartments rattling as if the storm had found its way inside the aircraft. Jason's heart thud in sync with the rattling metal, but amid the chaos, focus sharpened within him. The despairing cries from the back pierced through the laughter he'd managed to evoke moments before, shattering the bubble of connection he had built. "Stay calm," he whispered to himself, drawing in a deep breath. This was no longer about entertaining a child. It was about channeling the courage he had momentarily grasped. The roar, wind outside, seemed to mimic the rising panic inside, and he felt the knot in his stomach tightening again, this time laced with urgency. He turned toward the mother, who still clutched her baby close, her eyes wide with fear. "I'll check on what's happening," he assured her, forcing determination into his tone. Each step towards the back of the aircraft felt like wading through thick molasses. Would he falter, or would he confront the source of this chaos head-on? As he navigated the narrow aisle, snippets of conversation swirled around him. Frustration, disbelief, and fear brushed against his senses. Passengers were whispering, trying to formulate a narrative that made sense of the turbulent ride. But the sound of a child crying relentlessly drew him, a silent plea drowning beneath the rising tide of dread. Forcing an encouraging smile, Jason reached the back. What he saw made his stomach twist. A mother knelt on the floor, cradling a little boy, his tiny body racked with sobs that pierced Jason's heart. The child's face was flushed, tears streaming down his small cheeks, a vivid display of fear that struck Jason like an arrow. "Hey, buddy," Jason said softly, crouching to their level. "What's going on?" The words came instinctively, uttered with a tenderness he didn't fully grasp he possessed. "He fell! He hit his head!" the mother exclaimed, her voice trembling with panic. She looked to Jason, desperation plastered across her face, as if searching for a lifeline amidst this turbulence. Jason's heart raced, but somewhere beneath the fear lay an ember of resilience. This was his moment to cultivate true connection. Reaching toward the boy, he gently cupped the child's face in his hand. The boy flinched, but eventually turned his teary eyes toward Jason. "You're all right, aren't you?" Jason's voice dripped with sincerity, a sound in contrast to the unsteady plane. "I'm here, and I know you're brave." As he spoke, Jason could see the boy's breathing begin to slow, mirrored in the relief swelling in his chest. He recalled the warmth he felt while storytelling for Lily. Instinctively, he leaned closer, conjuring a tale that unfolded effortlessly from his mind. A knight who faced the fiercest storms to rescue not just the kingdom, but a child just like him. The boy's sobs gradually transformed into quiet whimpers, enthralled in this new narrative. With every word, Jason pushed through the shadows of self-doubt that had lingered since he boarded the flight. This was the essence of connection, reaching into the depths of shared vulnerability. But a sudden jolt from the plane snapped him back, a visceral reminder of the very real chaos threatening their safety. Jason glanced around, noting the concerned faces of the passengers who were looking towards their mother with a mix of anxiety and empathy. He sensed his connection transcending mere storytelling. He was now a stabilizing force in a swirling storm. In that fleeting moment, a realization crashed over him with the force of the turbulence itself. He had power. The power to ease fear, to mend hearts stricken by panic. But the moment shifted as the flight attendant's urgent voice cut through. "We need everyone to remain seated, please." A looming authority hung in the air, and Jason felt the weight of his choice settle heavily upon him. The moment of truth arrived. Would he retreat into the safety of his seat or step further into the unknown? As his spirit surged with resolve, a chilling thought slithered into his mind. Could he truly harness this newfound strength as a means to navigate not just this plane, but the unpredictability of life ahead? Jason's resolve solidified as he faced the seismic turbulence around him, awakening a purpose he had long hidden from himself. Cradling courage like a fragile bird, he stood up straight, locking eyes with the terrified mother and child. He understood that he couldn't erase their fear, but he could offer a slice of hope illuminated by connection. He glanced to the other passengers, their faces a mosaic of anxiety, uncertainty, and the instinctive search for clarity. None of them had asked for this harrowing experience. He recognized their need for reassurance, much like the little boy before him. "Hey," he called out, his voice firm yet soothing, aiming to fill the space with a sense of unity. The flight attendant shot him a disapproving look, but Jason felt a surge of defiance. He wasn't just a spectator, he was a participant in this moment. It was time to embrace the strength he had just begun to unearth. The room fell silent as his words echoed in the tight cabin. One by one, people turned their heads, eyes glimmering with curiosity and caution. He encouraged them to follow his lead, hand on heart. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's calm our hearts and minds, just for a moment. As he engaged them, Jason realized this was a test, one he hadn't prepared for, yet one he could not ignore. This was deeper than mere performance. It was about taking stock of his inner turmoil and transforming it into a sturdy anchor. There was a ripple effect among the passengers. For every breath they drew in sync, he saw their shoulders relax just a tad. The boy nestled closer to his mother, comforted by the collective rhythm. Each inhale became a promise, each exhale a release. A calm confidence within Jason burgeoned as he breathed alongside them, grounded by the power of vulnerability. However, doubt still lurked in the periphery. Would this unity hold? Would the turbulence outside relent? As the air pressure fluctuated, plunging his stomach, Jason fought to maintain his composure. He broke the silence again, sharing a story, a short, whimsical tale of a fairy tale kingdom led by a lion who could roar louder than any storm. They couldn't see the lion, not yet, but they could feel its bravery radiating. "Adventure can be scary," he narrated, his voice coming alive with passion, struggling to convince himself as much as the audience. But it also teaches us that we are never truly alone. Each of us is a fortress against the storm. Gradually, the tension began to evaporate. Laughter replaced fear, flickers of smiles bounced between seats, and Jason watched as the incredulous faces softened into empathy and understanding. The boy, now calmed by the story, let out a giggle, his tiny hand reaching for Jason's, a trust forming in that shared moment of fear and laughter. Jason felt a profound shift within. Each word uttered propelled him further from self-doubt and toward empowerment. He embraced the realization that every ounce of fear is countered by strength waiting to be unlocked. This was not just a flight faced with turbulence, it was an opportunity for revelation, for connection that transcended chaos. In relinquishing his own fear, he discovered he could inspire others to do the same. When the plane lurched again, he stood tall in their collective resolve, insisting that fear must be acknowledged, but each of them possessed the fortitude to face their storm. But the unsettling roar of engines reminded him that the journey was far from over. Suddenly, the flight attendant was back, urgently making her way through the aisles, and the anxiety returned with a vengeance. Jason's heart raced as he sensed a shift in the air, an impending announcement that could change everything. What awaited them on the other side of this storm? Jason's pulse quickened, sensing an imminent disturbance as the flight attendant's heels clicked against the floor, her face pale and taut. No longer could he merely be a comforting voice. This moment demanded more. It beckoned him to dig deeper into his well of resolve. "Attention, everyone," the attendant announced, her voice trembling ever so slightly. "We are experiencing significant turbulence. We need to prepare for a potential emergency landing." The words hung heavy in the cabin, weaving a shroud of dread as Jason felt the atmosphere shift yet again. He inwardly questioned how strength could be sustained when confronted with such stark uncertainty. The reality seemed harsh. No amount of storytelling could shield them from danger if it were to manifest. Tension coiled around the passengers, uncertainty reigned once more. Yet, with the boy's small hand still resting in his own, Jason felt the flicker of connection burning brightly, a lifeline amidst chaos. He exhaled deeply and refocused. Drawing from the earlier determination, he needed to find a way to channel this collective anxiety into something constructive. "Listen," he said, raising his voice to cut through the rising murmur. "I need your help. Just as we breathed together before, let's hold on to that now. This storm is fierce, but we are safe in this moment. Let's think about what we can control." He felt the eyes upon him, a mix of skepticism and trust. Doubt rubbed against him. Self-assuredness, but he pressed on. "All of you have fought through your own storms before. Maybe today is just another challenge, testing us. Let's share that strength." Some passengers shifted uneasily in their seats, but a few began to nod. The little boy tightened his grip, a silent acknowledgement of Jason's call for solidarity. It was small, but it was a crack in the armor of despair. Jason thought of his own past, the times he had felt small and powerless. He remembered how those moments had birthed resilience within him, a personal growth that was gradual yet profound. Each challenge a stepping stone. "Let's take turns sharing something we're grateful for," he said suddenly, his voice steady. Gratitude gives us power. It reminds us that we're more than just this moment. There was a beat of silence. Then a woman in the back shifted forward. "I'm grateful for my children," she said, her voice breaking. "They give me strength, even in moments like this." One by one, the passengers began to share. From a man's regrettable missed meeting to a young woman's newfound appreciation for her health, gratitude blossomed amidst fear. Jason found himself energized by every shared story, each one a unique thread woven into the tapestry of their crisis. As the words flowed, he felt a transformation. The flames of anxiety that had encircled the cabin were doused by a shared sense of purpose. Jason began to realize that in leading others through their turmoil, he was simultaneously strengthening his own resolve. The turbulence outside became a distant echo, replaced by the steady rhythm of connection. Hope rose like a phoenix, and Jason finally comprehended the irony of the situation. He was not merely comforting others, he was enacting a change within himself, a metamorphosis of self-identity from fearful bystander to a proactive force. However, the plane shook violently again, plunging momentarily into silence before a voice crackled over the intercom. "Prepare for descent." In that split second, the laughter and gratitude faded. A new storm loomed, one Jason had no control over. It was decision time. Would he cling to the newfound resilience or succumb to the dread of the unknown? Their previous strength pulsed within him, but what was about to unfold on the other side was a test like no other. The moment had come to face the ultimate challenge, his personal storm in the journey ahead. As the plane dipped, Jason gripped the armrests, the turbulence jolting him sharply. Instinctively, he glanced around the cabin, gauging the fear etched on every face. The little boy beside him, no longer just a simple passenger, looked up with wide, innocent eyes filled with trepidation. "Everything will be okay," Jason whispered, forcing calmness into his voice even as uncertainty twisted in his gut. This was no longer just about sharing strength. He needed to embody it. "Keep breathing," he instructed the boy, who mimicked him, lips quivering as he struggled to hold his breath longer. Encouraged, Jason turned back. "To the others, please, everyone, take a deep breath with me. Inhale and let it out slowly." Their collective inhales transformed into a rhythmic wave, bonding them in shared resolve against the chaos beyond. Yet, as the aircraft continued to rattle, Jason questioned whether he could sustain his resolve. The challenge felt monumental. He had faced storms in his life before, but they paled in comparison to the tempest surrounding them now. The excitement of shared gratitude just moments ago felt distant, far removed from the reality of this potential disaster. Suddenly, the voice of the flight attendant emerged again, tinged with urgency. "Please brace for landing. We will be descending soon. Ensure all safety measures are followed." The weight of those words hit Jason, a stark reminder of the fragile nature of life. The collective sigh of the passengers echoed a shared anxiety. Jason's thoughts spiraled for a moment. He could choose to let fear wash over him, or he could find a way to turn it into something actionable. Decision time had indeed arrived. "Let's not focus on the descent," he called out, an idea sparking as he pushed through the mental fog. "Instead, let's think about what we'll do when we land. What's one thing you're looking forward to?" The question hung in the air, a lifeline thrown into the murky waters of dread. A timid voice began. I want to make my daughter the pancakes she loves." Other voices joined in, each offering a small glimpse of hope that illuminated the tension. "Great," Jason encouraged, leaning forward. "Let's build on that thought. Imagine the kitchen, the smell of those pancakes filling the air. Picture the smile on her face. Hold on to that until we touch down." Each response added fuel to the latent determination within him. But amidst their sharing, Jason felt doubt flicker like a candle's flame within his chest. Had he prepared enough? How would he manage to keep this moment alive? What if he failed to reassure them in the end? These questions gnawed at him, yet he pushed them aside. This wasn't merely about survival anymore. It was about transforming their fear into solidarity, converting that into the courage he was only just beginning to tap into within himself. They weren't merely passengers anymore. They were fighters, creating a nexus of positivity against the overwhelming odds. As the aircraft began its descent, the rumble beneath them intensified. Jason's heart raced, but he found a strange comfort in the tumultuous environment. Surrounded by people woven together by momentary vulnerability, he realized his own growth was not solely about overcoming fear, but rather about understanding and embodying resilience. Within that realization lay the crux of his personal evolution. He was no longer just a storyteller, he was an architect of hope and a catalyst for courage. As the aircraft began its descent, the rumble beneath them intensified. Jason's heart raced, but he found a strange comfort in the tumultuous environment. Surrounded by people woven together by momentary vulnerability, he realized his own growth was not solely about overcoming fear, but rather about understanding and embodying resilience. Within that realization lay the crux of his personal evolution. He was no longer just a storyteller, he was an architect of hope and a catalyst for courage. As the plane jolted one last time, Jason felt the pulse of anticipation swell within him. But would their shared strength hold firm against the looming reality outside? What awaited them when they finally scraped the surface of their fears? The descent had only just begun, and the unknown was still spread before them, waiting to be confronted. As the landing gear met the runway, the plane shuddered and jolted more violently than before. Jason instinctively tightened his grip on the armrests again, holding his breath as if that alone could will them through this moment. The cabin was filled with anxious whispers and murmurs, a cacophony of uncertainty blending with the rumble of the aircraft's engines. But as the commotion began to settle, Jason chose to emerge from his own internal whirlwind. With a deep breath, he raised his voice, cutting through the chaos. "We're down. Look around you." He motioned to the other passengers, encouraging them to meet his gaze. "We're safe now, and we made it through together." The power of encouragement surged through him, igniting a flicker of connection in the weary eyes surrounding him. For the first time, he felt in control of something larger than himself. "You all did amazing. You showed strength in a moment of vulnerability. Hold on to that feeling," he continued, the urgency in his voice mirroring the depth of his conviction. In these fleeting moments of interaction, he found clarity. He was tired of living in the shadows of fear. As he spoke, a realization dawned on him. Words, intent, courage, these were the tools to reshape not only his narrative, but also the experience of those around him. As the doors opened and passengers began to deplane, Jason felt invigorated by the flurry of movements. Each face shared in that fragile triumph over fear. He caught the little boy's eye, the same boy he had comforted moments earlier. "See, we did it," Jason said, offering a thumbs up. The boy grinned, the fear washed out of his expression as he clutched his mother's hand. Yet, beneath the surface of this triumph lay the persistent weight of doubt. Every step toward the terminal felt like a mental unearthing. Jason wrestled with the question of whether he could maintain the momentum he built in the air. Had he stumbled upon something meaningful, a nascent strength within him? At the same time, shadows of past failures flickered in his mind. The image of a failed presentation, the feeling of inadequacy in his personal life threatened to creep back in. Once in the bustling airport, Jason felt raw and exposed. Crowds moved past him, oblivious to his internal struggle. He approached the baggage claim, where familiar uncertainty gnawed at him anew. Could he transfer this newfound bravery into relationships and career aspirations waiting beyond this moment? He recalled the way he had listened to the passengers share their dreams. It sparked an urge to dig deeper, to explore those unexplored aspects of his professional life that had languished in ambiguity. As he collected his suitcase, Jason spotted a familiar figure across the hall. His mentor, Mark, studying a nearby display. Jason's heart raced at both the excitement and apprehension. Their previous discussions had often been laden with his own self-doubt. Would he shrink back into the version of himself yearning for approval? Or could he present himself with the boldness he felt? With each step approaching Mark, an epiphany unfurled within him. He remembered the lessons he had integrated from the flight. Connection, resilience, a testament to shared experiences. Encountering Mark offered a chance for renewal, a space to redefine himself. Jason felt the tension build. The moment had come for him to confront not just his mentor, but also the expectations he had set for himself. Would he take the plunge and share his revelations? Would he risk exposing his vulnerabilities to someone he admired deeply? Fear and excitement pooled together, but he was determined to embrace this next challenge. As he took a deep breath and moved closer, he realized that this was not just about self-discovery, but about stepping into his power. Jason was about to embrace the unknown once more, and it felt exhilarating. Would he find the courage to transform his insights into bold actions? The moment hung in the air, laden with possibilities. As Jason closed the distance to Mark, each step felt like a battle against his entrenched anxieties. He had spent years seeking approval, molding himself into what he thought others wanted. Now he faced a pivotal moment to either recreate that pattern or carve out a new identity for himself, one filled with authenticity and conviction. "Hey, Mark," he called, injecting enthusiasm into his words. The mentor turned, a warm smile illuminating his face. Yet, as Mark approached, Jason felt the familiar knot of self-doubt tighten in his chest. What if he conveyed his thoughts poorly? What if this conversation unraveled under scrutiny? "Jason, good to see you," Mark said, his voice a reassuring anchor. "How was the flight?" "It was intense," Jason replied, his voice steadier than he expected. "But I learned something valuable up there." The words shocked him as they exited his mouth, but they gained traction. Jason recognized that speaking them made them more real. "What did you learn?" Mark's curiosity was genuine, and for a moment, Jason felt a flicker of reassurance. He hesitated, dredging up the courage. "I learned that my fear can be harnessed into something powerful, something encouraging. I didn't just want to survive the flight, I wanted to help others realize their strength too." Mark nodded, perceptively assessing him. "That's a significant realization. We're often driven by fear, but learning to transform it can unlock your potential." Jason's heart swelled. He had expected skepticism, but received understanding instead. "I've always been focused on how I come across to others. I hold back my thoughts out of fear of rejection." "You're not alone," Mark assured him. "Many people struggle with that, but you're already taking steps to change that narrative. It's about time you own your voice." Tension lingered in the air, but Jason pressed onward. "I want to apply this to my work. I feel like I've limited myself to safe ideas, never tackling what truly moves me. What if I took the leap?" The vulnerability was palpable, yet liberating. Mark paused, a contemplative look crossing his features. "Leap where? What exactly do you want to accomplish?" Jason took a breath, anticipating the truth he needed to explore. "I want to lead a team project, something innovative, something that allows us to create impact. But I fear being dismissed or taken lightly. I never believe I'm enough." The confession hung heavily between them. Mark's silence felt charged with anticipation. Did Jason truly have the strength to face the deep-seated fears overwhelming him? "Jason, listen," Mark began carefully, his tone conveying the weight of experience. "This fear doesn't diminish your worth. Every leader starts somewhere. The real challenge is overcoming the fear of rejection. Have you ever considered how many groundbreaking ideas came from those who dared to be authentic? Jason felt a pull within himself, an invitation to reflect on his aspirations. I want to challenge the norm, explore controversial ideas. I want to bring something daring to the table, not just blend in. That's the spirit, Mark exclaimed, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes. But to lead that charge, you must first confront the blocks within you. What are you scared of losing? Silence enveloped them as Jason wrestled with the question. He envisioned the risk of failure, the haunting possibility of their ideas falling flat, and the nagging fear of public scrutiny. Yet in that silence, clarity began to form. My voice, my identity. I'm afraid to reveal too much, to face deathly silence after saying something bold. Mark's expression softened. Then that's the very thing you need to move past. Begin with smaller steps. Share your insights as they come. Embrace the discomfort. Challenge the narrative that your voice isn't valuable. Jason stood rooted, the weight of his mentor's words crashing against his fears like a wave, cascading into an undercurrent of resolve. If he could unravel the complexity of his experience, perhaps he could release the power that lay dormant within. By the time their conversation shifted to logistics and brainstorming sessions, Jason felt the thrilling rise of possibility tinged with anxiety. He had lifted a curtain on something he thought he could never share. As they parted ways, he grasped his briefcase with invigorated determination. Each attitude turn was signaling that the time for change was approaching. What would his first act of authenticity be? The question hummed in his mind, crackling with potential energy. As he stepped into the evening sun, a sense of exploration unfurled itself. Was he genuinely ready to disrupt the patterns of his life, to find strength in unveiling his true self? The challenge loomed overhead, vast and uncharted. Jason inhaled deeply, anticipating that the real test was soon to commence. What act would crystallize his newfound resolve? The moment of truth loomed. He was ready to confront whatever lay ahead. Would he take the chance to stand boldly at the forefront of his aspirations? As days faded into weeks, Jason committed to a path of exploration and authenticity. His initial resolution to seize opportunities transformed into a concrete plan. He dotted his calendar with projects, each one a leap into discomfort, a chance to showcase his voice amidst a symphony of ideas. He secured a meeting with his team to pitch an innovative project aimed at addressing social issues through creative solutions. Gathering his notes, the past echoes of self-doubt threatened to resurface. But Jason clenched his fist, determined to harness the growth that new experiences had unearthed. On the day of the presentation, he walked into the conference room, a confident demeanor replacing the apprehension that once gripped him. With his colleagues seated, their eyes expectant, Jason felt a subtle shift in him, a newfound strength ready to emerge. He began with his story, linking the experiences of the flight with the idea of transforming turbulence into collaboration. Imagine, he proposed, his voice resonating with conviction, what we can accomplish when we embrace our fears rather than shy away from them. By creating a project that inspires conversation about social issues, we can foster deeper connections in the community. As he navigated through the details, Jason pushed through every potential barrier of fear. He revealed an outreach program that blended their professional skill sets with social responsibility. Initiatives that would challenge norms, inspire creativity, and unify the community. The presentation sparked a fire among the team, igniting discussions filled with enthusiasm instead of the usual skepticism. When the meeting concluded, a palpable energy filled the room. His colleagues echoed enthusiasm for the initiative, eager to collaborate. To Jason's amazement, not only did they absorb his core ideas, they amplified them, building a vision beyond what he initially articulated. "You led with passion and vulnerability today," his teammate Lucas remarked as they exited the meeting. Your story about connecting through empathy was powerful. I think we can really make a difference here. Each word ignited a sense of pride, a reward for the courage to share his ideas. In that moment, recognition and validation washed over him. He understood he had stepped into a new identity. No longer constrained by fear, Jason was now an agent for positive change, demonstrating that courage to voice authentic perspectives could lead to impactful actions. Reflecting on this experience, Jason realized the ironies of growth. It wasn't just about overcoming personal limitations. It was about establishing a space where shared struggles could spark collaboration. The fear that had once paralyzed him now fueled a shared vision, transforming his insecurities into a foundation for innovation. In the following months, the project flourished, gaining traction and support beyond the initial team. This new venture soon received acknowledgement from senior management in the form of accolades and respect. The recognition solidified Jason's standing as a leader, a cornerstone of not just his team, but the larger organization. More importantly, Jason cultivated relationships that deepened the impact of their initiatives. Conversations shifted from superficial updates to meaningful engagements that fostered growth, creativity, and trust. His newfound ability to express himself respectfully yet assertively encouraged others to share their insights and empower one another. It nurtured an environment rich with collaboration rather than competition. As Jason stood at the annual company meeting, now a recognized figure discussing their project, he experienced a transformation so profound it eluded mere words. The audience's engagement reflected a profound impact born from his willingness to embrace vulnerability. Here, Jason demonstrated his competencies. He had not only conquered his fear of public speaking and being heard, but he had also established himself as a linchpin for the change he longed to see. There was no greater achievement than that, stepping into authentic leadership rooted in empathy and courage. With each passing day, he became more adept at navigating challenges and inspired those around him to do the same. The vulnerability he displayed on that tumultuous flight became his strength. The journey was never just about personal growth. It was about nurturing an entire environment that thrived on connection. As Jason's narrative unfolded, he found satisfaction rooted in his ability to be a guiding force, in shaping dialogues that mattered. No longer was he a boy focused solely on accolades. He was a man leading with purpose, recognized not just for his achievements, but for his commitment to a greater cause. And in that moment, at the forefront, surrounded by colleagues eager to help create change, Jason realized he had truly stepped beyond the shadow of self-doubt. He had become a voice of courage, shaping not only his destiny, but inspiring others to reframe their narratives too. Embracing every challenge that lay ahead, Jason felt an unwavering confidence guiding him. He was prepared, eager to explore new horizons, invite collaboration, and transform each turbulence into avenues of growth. As the meeting concluded and he stepped off the stage, the applause echoed in his heart, the recognition settling deep within him. In this, he found profound fulfillment, an achievement that transcended success, a tapestry of resilience, connection, and authentic leadership woven through the fabric of human experience. If you resonate with Jason's journey of transformation and resilience, you need to subscribe now to the channel. This is the moment to show your support and join a community that values personal growth through storytelling. Don't wait even one more second to share this emotional conclusion with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of overcoming adversity. And remember to leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment your thoughts, reactions, and theories about the ending below. Your engagement can inspire even more powerful stories. Let's grow together. As Jason stood at the forefront, surrounded by colleagues eager to help create change, Jason realized he had truly stepped beyond the shadow of self-doubt. He had become a voice of courage, shaping not only his destiny, but inspiring others to reframe their narratives too. Embracing every challenge that lay ahead, Jason felt an unwavering confidence guiding him. He was prepared, eager to explore new horizons, invite collaboration, and transform each turbulence into avenues of growth. As the meeting concluded and he stepped off the stage, the applause echoed in his heart, the recognition settling deep within him. In this, he found profound fulfillment, an achievement that transcends success, a tapestry of resilience, connection, and authentic leadership woven through the fabric of human experience. If you resonate with Jason's journey of transformation and resilience, you need to subscribe now to the channel. This is the moment to show your support and join a community that values personal growth through storytelling. Don't wait even one more second to share this emotional conclusion with at least 5 friends who need to see the power of overcoming adversity. And remember to leave a like now to feed the algorithm. It truly makes a difference. Comment your thoughts, reactions, and theories about the ending below. Your engagement can inspire even more powerful stories. Let's grow together.